Hey guys, it's Phaedra from All Things Phaedra, and I'd love for you to subscribe if you're interested in things like cars, travel, entertainment. I cover all that and a little bit more. But today, I'm strictly talking movies. Today, I'm talking about Richard Jewell, the new movie that is to be released December 13th, directed by Clint Eastwood. I got a lot to say about this movie, and it's not all going to be pretty. So here we go. This movie, if you're not entirely familiar with what it is a biopic. It's based on the true story of Richard Jewell, who was a security guard working at Centennial Park during the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Now, if you weren't alive back then or you haven't caught up on the news story, here's a quick refresher. There was a bomb found in one of the outlying areas of the Olympic Park. It was an area where musicians performed, and the bomb was actually discovered in a knapsack by one of the security guards by the name of Richard Jewell. Now, he was originally lauded as a hero because of his quick thinking and his quick reaction to it. The police came in, they were able to at least clear a perimeter, and there are a bunch of other pieces of information that basically helped save lives. So he was lauded as a hero. He was on national news, and then quickly the tables turned, and it became evident that he was considered a suspect by the FBI. Now, when you watch the movie, they stick pretty close to the facts of that. He was actually considered a suspect. And when you're watching the movie, you realize that they had good cause. He fit the profile of who should be the bomber. Now, if you are caught up on history, you know that he was not the bomber. But guess what? I was alive and well in 1996. And when I first saw a trailer for this movie, which was just last week, I was like, wait, did Richard Jewell, wasn't he the bomber? I don't remember. Was he the bomber? And then after we saw the trailer, we quickly looked up on our phones that, oh no, it was Eric Rudolph. And I remember that because Eric Rudolph was the guy that went deep into the North Carolina woods and evaded the police for what I didn't realize was a very long time. In fact, it was 6 years later that they finally tracked him down. He confessed to the bombings, and Richard Jewell was then really and truly exonerated, which he was before that. But this is not the story about Richard Jewell and the bombing or Eric Rudolph. In fact, Eric Rudolph doesn't even really play a part in this movie. What this is about is trial by media, and that's what's got so many knickers in a twist. I am actually dumbfounded when I am looking at some of the articles and reviews that are out there this morning. And I'm going to read you just a few because I'm wondering, did they see the same movie I did? So Slate.com, for example, wrote a headline, Richard Jewell turns a true story into a libertarian fable. The Washington Post actually put in its review, it's the Trumpiest movie you've ever seen, set a full 20 years before the election of the famously press-bashing, deep state-loathing president. Let me be clear. This movie has exactly zero to do with Trump, okay? Whether you love Trump, whether you hate Trump, it doesn't matter. But what is happening is the media is doing exactly what this movie is trying to prove. They are manipulating public opinion. And I'm pretty pissed off about it. Let me tell you why. So Clint Eastwood directed this movie. This dude is 89 years old, but he's a patriot. And this is a story that he felt really did a disservice to a true American hero. So he wanted to tell this story. It's based on extensive articles that have been written, books that have been written about it, and he presented a true story. Now, parts of it, as with most true stories, are dramatized, and some parts of it are fictionalized for the big screen. So what is actually happening in this movie, and why is the focus on these types of things? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Clint Eastwood, this is my opinion, is a conservative in Hollywood. Now, as you know, Hollywood typically is not a conservative environment. You can look at the types of material that typically comes out, and it's usually has a pretty liberal slant to it. That's okay. That's just how it is. We've got right-wingers. We've got left-wingers. We've got conservatives. We've got liberals. What is bothering me is, having seen this story, I think it is extremely well acted, which I'm going to talk about in a second. It's a really fascinating story, and it's being politicized, and it's being presented with an agenda. So what happens in the story is that Richard Jewell is being investigated by the FBI, and that information is leaked to a reporter named Kathy Scruggs, who was working for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Now, you can read a lot about Kathy Scruggs. Here's the thing. She died in 2001, so she's not alive anymore. She died at a young age, and from everything I read about her, she worked hard, she played hard, she lived fast, and was always after a good story, aggressively so. And that's what they show in the movie. And they even imply that perhaps she did favors to get the information she needed to get the story. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not true, but if you look at the headlines this morning, that is all you are going to see about this movie, is the focus on this reporter. Now, I can understand why, if the people that knew her knew that's emphatically not true, but there are plenty of people that say, no, that could have been true. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that the media took a piece of information that should have been held confidentially. Granted, it was leaked by the FBI. A piece of information that should have been kept confidential, and publicized it in the Atlanta paper because it was an exclusive breaking story. And guess what happened? That story snowballed. It went to other newspapers, it went to national news, NBC News, CNN, and within days, this hero was being portrayed as a potential killer, a potential domestic terrorist. And this man, Richard Jewell, went literally overnight from a hero to a possible terrorist. And all of this was done not by factual information that the FBI had, or that the SBI had, or the GBI had, or the local police, but by psychological profiling, speculation, and information that ran wild in the media. It was trial by media. And that was the point of this film. Guess what? It happens. I'm a member of the media. I'm not a journalist. I'm a blogger. But I'm a member of the media, and I've seen this happen time and time and time again. I'm not talking about fake news. I'm talking about people taking a piece of information and it's snowballing out of control. That's what this movie is about. And it's really a cautionary tale, and it's a movie about bringing to light the hero that Richard Jewell was. Now, Richard Jewell has since passed away as well, but his mother, who was a prominent figure in the movie, and his lawyer, who was a prominent figure in the movie, are still alive today. And I'm sure they would agree that it is a story worth telling. Now, let's talk about the movie itself. Let's put the agenda behind. Let's put the politics behind. Let's put all of that behind. And let's just talk about this as a really good movie. So, Richard Jewell, the lead character, was played by Paul Walter Hauser. I've never seen this actor before. He's a really heavy-set, Southern charm teddy bear of a man. And you wouldn't know he was an actor because it seems like he is this man. So kudos to him. He really portrayed this character, this person, I think, with a true sense of authenticity. His mother, played by Kathy Bates. I love Kathy Bates in pretty much any role she does, whether it is Dolores Claiborne, or if it is Annie in Misery, or if it was in The Office. I love Kathy Bates. She really nailed it as his mother, just the subtlety and the emotion that she brought to this role. And she's actually already been nominated for a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actress. We also had Sam Rockwell, who was, of course, Academy Award-winning actor last year. I love him as well. John Hamm, who plays the FBI agent. Olivia Wilde, who plays Kathy Scruggs. The AJC reporter, who does, people are saying that she's being demonized in this movie. No, you do see by the end of the movie that she starts to understand the ramifications of some of her overzealousness in this movie. So I thought it was such a good movie. It was long, okay? It's, I think, about 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it felt maybe about 10 minutes too long. But overall, it's a really wonderful story arc. It's a really emotional story. The audience that I was with, it was a very diverse group. Young, old, black, white, and everybody that was in the audience, you could tell, were just like, like they felt that movie. And it kind of pains me to know, I was at the Washington, D.C. press screening. It pains me to know that that Washington Post critic was probably sitting in the very same room that I was. Very disappointing, but I guess that's what makes it entertainment. Everybody walks away with something different. And if this is a movie that you're interested in, ignore what the critics are saying. Go and sit through what I think is an important piece of our history and an important piece of how the media plays into everybody's opinions out there. So thanks for watching. I'd love to hear what you thought of the movie or what you think about going to see the movie. Please leave me a comment, and please subscribe so you can come back more. We got a lot of great films coming up this holiday season, and I'd love for you to be there along with me.